Hello everyone! How you guys doing today? So, I'm coming to you from Bali! So excited. So beautiful here. I'm just going to show you around a little bit. So this is a place where we had breakfast this morning. This is the beautiful view of the rice fields. And there's like lots of stunning art surrounding us as well. It's just beautiful. If you guys can see it. You see all those beautiful paintings? And it's so colorful and gorgeous. And yeah, I guess I'm just jumping in here today to share some love because it's Valentine's Day today. And Valentine's Day is always a really special time for me. I know it's like super commercial, but I really don't see the commercial side of it. I just see it, hey Jeremy, hey Tess. I just see it as another opportunity to make love and the feeling of love even more special. And I don't really see the commercial side to Valentine's Day so much. Like, to me, it really is about being able to feel the love on a new level, and really like honing that ritual of love and self-love and sharing love, and, you know, even more to touch into the overwhelm and into the excess, into everything, right? And so Valentine's Day, I always make it like that special occasion day where I just take extra good care of myself, and I always like really look ahead for it. If I'm in a relationship, I'll be looking ahead for it and, just creating some space and some time with my lover or my partner. But, if I'm just on my own, and right now I'm traveling, so I, can't be with my beautiful lovers physically, but it's just nice to just be on my own as well, and to just make that excuse no excuse, you know what I mean? So yeah, last week I could feel that, actually last week when I decided I wanted to come to Bali, I felt that I really wanted to be in a special place for Valentine's Day. And so I was like, okay, where does my heart want to go? And so I decided to come to Bali. And so last year for Valentine's Day, I had taken my very first trip on my own to a place where I didn't understand the language. So that was like the first time I was in a country where I didn't understand the language. So that was quite scary. So I went to Greece, and it was beautiful. And, that day, that Valentine's Day, was so special to me because I really was in that tranquil space, that, Zen attitude. And I feel that Bali has really been opening me on a completely new level. I've met some amazing people already, and it's only day 3 today, and I'm just so grateful. And so I guess what I want to say is that, can you just celebrate that love that you feel for yourself, celebrate the love that you feel for life, for people around you, for people who are connected to you, and, just make today that special excuse to just share on a whole new level of how you would be sharing it, like on a random day, right? Because it's nice to do love and all that stuff every day. But I also like the feeling of something being really special and precious and unique and, almost like a ritual. So I guess that's sort of what I want to be talking about. And, I'm just like here in Bali, just really inhaling the nature and being fully connected to all my senses, with the beings that I'm meeting, with people, the colors, everything. And I just feel so grateful. I feel so grateful to be here, and I feel so grateful to, I'm just reading Tessa's comment. I'm truly inspired by love this Valentine's Day. Yes, I think it's amazing. Like, we can make it what we want. Like, I used to have times when I was in a relationship before where my partner wasn't really celebrating Valentine's. It didn't really make it feel that special, and that's okay. Like, not everyone has to do that, but to me that's really unique. Like, there's this one day where everyone is tuning into that. And so, if we get over that commercial side, and truly make it about love and about connection and about gratitude and about the things that feel really, really good to us, the juiciness, the curiosity, the playfulness, whatever we feel like the expression of love wants to go through in our beings, we can just make it about that, and that's more than enough. You know, you don't have to do really fancy things, and you don't have to it doesn't have to be fancy. It can be really simple. It could be just to make space today to, you know, spend time by yourself, or to spend time with your lover and then really listen to each other. Or you could find a way to just connect with nature on a completely new level, and it can be really simple. Like, love can be found in the most mundane, simple things. It doesn't have to be, you know, super fancy and all that. So yeah, and I feel that for me, every time Valentine's Day comes around, it is also the time that reminds me of having had the abortion. So it's another I guess, invitation for me, for myself, to take extra good care of myself, because I know that it can be a sensitive time, especially the time leading up to it. And so just, you know, creating that space where I can really connect into love, into loving myself, into loving my body, into loving the things I'm doing. And, you know, it's just really healing to me, because love can be incredibly healing on so many layers. And so when that time of Valentine's comes around, it's kind of also the anniversary of that time that was such a rite of passage to me as a woman. It was the hardest time I've ever had to live through as such. And, you know, anyone who's had an abortion can probably feel into that. You know, it's not easy. You know, there's so much guilt and shame that can be tied into it. Thankfully, I overcame the guilt and the shame quite quickly, but sometimes it still comes up when, you know, when I'm talking about this to other people, because not everyone is feeling okay about, you know, women having abortions, you know, and it's fine, you know, that's there, and that's their projection, and that's what they need to express. So usually that's the time, you know, when I would feel the guilt or the shame come up. But I also know that the decision that I've taken was coming from a loving space, and it was coming from a connected space, because I had a connection with the spirit of the baby way before it. So it really shifted the way that I would think about abortion. And so to me, that rite of passage that I experienced 2 years ago really was about setting myself free from this internal opinion that I would think is an external opinion, which was actually just an internal opinion. And I managed to say no to some circumstances that I was going to get myself into, and I really had to connect with a much deeper space of love. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, it's just love, bubbles and hearts and unicorns. No, this was like a time when I had to get into the grits of my womb and understand that I was carrying life inside me, and I had to really connect with the fact that I wasn't ready to become a mom under those circumstances. It didn't feel loving to me, and it didn't feel, hey Ibrahim, it didn't feel loving to myself. It didn't feel loving to the baby to have this child under those circumstances. So I really had to tap into the tough love and understand, you know, like, see everything from a completely different angle, that it's not selfish in that situation to choose the abortion. It was the total opposite. It was coming from a space of love. It was coming from a space of tough love, and realizing the grandeur and the things that we carry in our hearts, and, you know, be fully connected to wanting to protect, you know, this life from harm and from disconnection and from hurt and from shame and from all these things that I was carrying in myself at that time. And, you know, I guess this is the first time I'm talking about this in public, so I shared a lot about my abortion and the time that I was going through the abortion with my goddess group, but this is probably the first time that I'm just right here in the open, just doing a live video on this. But yeah, so to me, the abortion really was coming from a place of reverence, you know, and really respecting that there is this life that could be happening. And so the circumstances I was in at that time Back. It's Bali, babies. So it just disconnects all the time. Um, so it's just what's happening right now. Um, so yeah, so it's like I had to dig deeper into this situation and really seek what was the expression of love in that moment. And the expression of love was that I had to sit with that decision that seemed so overwhelming in that moment, but it was for a higher cause, it was for a bigger cause, and on the long term, this was what I could sit with as a loving decision, more than, having birthed this child and bringing this child into the planet and not having had the support from the father, not having had the support from the circumstances that I was in. So at that time, that's what it felt like to me. And so what happened is that which seemed so hard and so difficult actually propelled me into a higher plane. It propelled me into a much higher frequency of love. And I could only have ever experienced that frequency of love until I sat with this difficult decision and sat with this difficult situation. Something that seemed so... in that moment, it really felt like I would never be able to overcome it. I would never be able to truly receive the teaching and the blessing from it, like you can't see it in that moment. It just seems like this difficult decision, and you just get entangled in that, and you feel that, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And, all these different entanglements that were connected to that, like, what are people going to think? What's my family going to think? What's my mom going to think? To me, it was really difficult because my mom at that time, when she was pregnant with me, had a situation where, people wanted her to abort because she wasn't married. So, it's just crazy. And so can you imagine, like, how much harder for me it was, these cute little ribbons, how much harder it was for me to actually, know that my mom had decided to have me, but I was deciding not to have this child. So that was like another layer in there, because it's like, wow, my mom actually decided to have me, but I'm deciding against this baby right now. So yeah, it was difficult, but then what happened is that it actually propelled me into a much higher plane. It propelled me into this space where I knew how to say no to things that didn't feel in alignment, even if it meant that it was going to hurt some people temporarily. But I started to be okay with doing that, because it's almost like there's this new level of value and of worth that rises, because well, temporarily this might be hurting another person, but ultimately this is the most loving thing I can do for myself right now, and I need to listen to that, because it is important. It's very important to be able to have that worth and that value sensation for yourself. And so ultimately, those people who really love you, those people who really support you, those people who are really by your side, they will always understand that expression of love. They won't make you feel guilty about taking a step into an empowered space of love. They will understand. They will want you to be able to take those decisions. And so it's like, in that moment changed my life forever, because after I had taken such a big decision of saying no to something so huge, right? I started to understand the power of saying yes to those things that truly feel in alignment, to saying yes to the things that I really enjoy doing, the things that I really want to do. And so I started to travel more. I started to go around the world, and I started to, take short trips first, because that's what felt the safest. But I would take like little leaps one after the other, things that would scare me a little, but I would still do it. Or, just going into places and talking to people, and almost like challenging myself every day of doing something that was a little scary, or I would have to take a new level of courage in order to do that. And so it's like, this ritual, this rite of passage of the abortion actually really led me into being able to build courage, because yeah, I guess I just had the impression of what it was like to be courageous and to step in and to, you know, really step into the power of deciding whether I want to birth or whether I don't want to birth. You know, when I want to create life, whether I don't want to create life, what kind of life I want to create. So what kind of life means what kind of creativity did I want to create in my own life, right? What were the relationships that I wanted to create? What were the things that I wanted to build on? What were the bonds that I wanted to build on? And how did I want to build on them? So it brought up all these existential questions up of, you know, what is it that I'm actually here to do? Like, you know, like, what is the worst thing I could lose? And then what's the best thing I could win? And so I started to shift my awareness around loss into winning and victory, and what it feels like to really feel victory, to really feel that I can create victory, I can create success, I can create win-win situations for myself, and therefore I create win-win situations for other people, especially those who are in alignment with me, especially those who love me so much and so deeply, and I can create bonds that are even stronger than I could have ever imagined. So, you know, this is why I'm creating this post today, because I feel that I want to inspire you to take the bigger, bolder aspect into love. You know, that big leap into love. Like, are you able to make that decision that feels so hard for the win-win situation on the long term? Because ultimately you're building the love within yourself, and you're building the love within yourself and the bonds that you're creating with people that you choose to create bonds with. And even if you are in a bond with someone who is sort of tied to you, like, you know, a family member or a friend, and you don't see that you can sever that connection, well, is there a way of how you can build more love and more trust in that connection? Are you able to really express yourself from an authentic place where you're not even scared of saying, hey, I'm really afraid of this, like, this is really worrying me, I'm really doubtful, and just really speak from your heart to those people? Because sometimes all these people need to know is that you have fears yourself. Sometimes we build these walls around people because we're unable to express ourselves authentically. So we feel that if we speak our fear or we speak our doubt, that person is going to abandon us, they're going to leave us, they're going to, you know, criticize us or hurt us. And it's the total opposite that usually happens, because when you really open up yourself on that level of fear and doubt and you share it, those people, trust me, most of them, they will not abandon you at all. They will actually really want to understand you. They will want to hold your hand while you go through this. And, you know, reaching out for help, reaching out for connection, reaching out for trust, trusting that the other person is going to be able to receive you even in that hurt space, is so incredibly powerful. Because ultimately, it's about building trust within you. And as you're building trust within you, sometimes you have to build trust in others as well. You know, build trust with that person who you think has been criticizing you for so long and doesn't really want to love you anymore. Right? It could be your mom, it could be your dad, it could be your brother or a sister, it could be a friend, it could be someone at work. Right? How can you trust that person that they are able to stretch into that higher aspect of love, that they are able to hold you in your hurt space, to hold you in that space where you're resonating from truth and you're resonating with everything that you are, in your rawness, right? Like, I had some conversations with my mom in the past few years that were incredibly healing. I had to really speak up and say, Mom, like, I feel that you're just going into this pattern of victim. It makes me feel like a victim myself. It makes me feel that I am having to carry your burden. And I don't want to do that, because I want to see you in your highest love vibration. I want to see you thriving, and I want to see you creating. I want to see you in that empowered space. And then what it triggered was that she never realized that the way she was sharing about her things was somewhat like heavy on me. She never even understood it because she was so entangled into her own situation. And then what happened is that it's like this new level of trust and bond kicked in, because she was then able to take responsibility for her actions. I was able to hold her hand while she was doing that. And so now we have this amazing friendship together, and I'm so grateful for it, because I really see so many people around me who, you know, have awakened, and they're awakened to this higher realm of love, but then when it comes to their old people, like these people from their old life, they're not able to hold the space for them. And that's fine. Like, I'm not criticizing that, because it's all a journey, but there is a possibility, there is that space where this is already a solution. This has already been solved, you know? This hurt that you're carrying with your mom, with your dad, with your friend, there is that space where this has been healed. It has been fully integrated. So can you speak to those people from that space? Like, can you allow yourself to speak up about what is really going on? What is that? What is it that you really desire from this relationship? You don't desire to be severed. Most of the time you don't desire to abandon it. And most of the time you also don't desire to disconnect. Truly what you're really, really craving is you're craving a higher plane of love. So, wow, I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but I guess this is just what's coming through, and I, just embrace that. Yeah. I really love Balinese people. They're amazing. They just have this other rhythm, that you don't see in the Western world. It's absolutely beautiful. It actually reminds me of my childhood in Portugal, when I grew up in a small village, and people are just living, They're just doing their little things, going into the fields in the morning, feed their chickens, feed their animals. And they're just being, they're just being in that space of life. And so what I also love about Balinese people is that they have a very strong sense of family. They have a very strong sense of connection with their family members. There is this thing where they hold each other, like children are connected to their parents so much, and like everyone is working together in order to make ends meet. And I feel like in the Western world we've lost that, because we just get connected so quickly with our own success and with our money and with the things that we can do on our own, that we don't have the need anymore to have, we seem to not have the need anymore to build these connections with our family members and with our friends, and truly we are craving them so badly. Even today I was sharing with a friend of mine that there was a time when my dad was supporting me financially to do my studies, but I wasn't feeling the emotional support from him. I wasn't feeling the connection. I wasn't feeling the love. Even though it was there, I just wasn't feeling it. And sometimes I feel that that's what is breaking Western families a lot, is that it seems like there is no need materially to hold together, but there is an incredible amount of emotional need to hold together. And because we've been brainwashed that emotions are not important, and that, connections, whatever, you're just building a connection out of a space of interest, right? You're not building a connection out of a space of love and really wanting to create that bond and that healing and that space for another person. And it's so important. I feel that, a lot of relationships kind of get lost because of that, because we feel that because we don't need someone materially speaking, we don't need them at all. And it's the total opposite. I feel like we really, really need each other, and it's not coming from a space of like neediness and like, I need you and I'm going to die if I don't have you. No, it's just connection. We're really craving connection. And sometimes it's because we feel so disconnected from ourselves. We feel so disconnected from this natural rhythm that we're in. And this is really what the Balinese people are teaching me only in these first few days that I've been here. It's exactly that, it's just that human connection. They're very connected, like you're walking down the street and everyone will say hello to you. And it feels like even though it's a big village, it's a tiny little village. It's like this village life, and they just embrace that, they embrace you as a being. Right, I think I've done enough rambling for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a beautiful day. Make it about love today. Make an extra excuse to have even more love in your life. Really build it. Really hone it. And feel the difference. Feel what it's like to be eating a meal out of a place of love. Feel what it's like to walk down the street out of a place of love. Feel what it's like to talk to a friend out of this place of love. Like a bigger plane of love. Like, can you make that bigger plane of love within your life right now? Can you expand into it? Just ask yourself the question, like, how much more love can your heart contain? How much more love can you contain in your life? And then just stretch yourself. Thank you so much, Ibrahim. You're awesome too. Love you so much, guys. Have an amazing time. Make Valentine's Day about the love, okay? Love you.